I knew that was God bringing us together for something very prophetic and very powerful for this show to go on this week, even though I was out of town.
Yeah, as I said before we went in, and usually we don't get a chance to talk before because I'm usually just up until the second getting notes from the generals. But we threw the generals off a little bit this week. They don't know it.
No, but I know they'll enjoy what they're going to hear because there's so many prophetic details that God is giving out of what the enemy's up to. And I mean, some of them are like, wow. I was like, when I heard these prophetic words, I could not wait to give them out, let alone let the generals and you hear what God was saying, because it's pretty, he's already giving so many powerful words, but this was just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I just heard those words come out. Like, it was so powerful. And God is just giving more details. The closer we're coming to the explosive part of where we're at, and the more of these people coming down, the more details he's giving out.
Wow, there's a lot coming out. There was reports over the weekend that a couple senators, indictments are coming on senators, U.S. senators. So that's coming. You got the P. Diddy stuff getting bigger and bigger. More of that's going to be popping out. I heard some more names on that. You got Epstein getting deeper. You had the James O'Keefe exposing through Pam Bondi. These are not just underage people at Epstein Island. These are sick, young children, and just horrific. I heard some stuff last week again about how evil these people truly are, and it's sickening. But on a positive note, we're going to open up this Monday with the Dow futures up over 1,000 points because it looks like President Trump has a deal with China.
China is definitely going to bow its knee, whether it thinks it's going to fully or not. But China is not in a deal in a place where they can really mess with the United States of America, because judgment is really hitting China hard. They're going to have issues with politically, and with their government. They're going to have issues financially. There's going to be a major shaking in China.
Yeah, and one of President Trump's messages over the weekend is he does it, as you know, things in comms. He had the word reset, and many people are looking for that word reset. Reset. What is that? It's the Babylonian system coming down and his new system coming up. And over the weekend, I was told again by a really reliable source, and I think I've mentioned this before, and people thought I was crazy, but I've been told by two really reliable sources that she is the head of China, is different than the CCP, that he secretly has been working with President Trump and Vladimir Putin to bring down the globalists and bring down the Babylonian system. So I heard that again this weekend.
I do have some prophecies on Russia and Putin. You'll enjoy hearing that after I just heard you say that. So, and again, all these were pre-recorded last week. So I don't know when all this information came out, but God has given me prophetic words. He gave me like 8 or 9 in a very short period of time, like 2 or 3, 4 days. And one of them was regarding Putin and how Putin has been targeted, and how Putin has a lot of information that he can use to take down some of the globalists. So.
Yes, he does. So which prophetic word should we start in?
Okay, well, let's just see here. There's so many of them, so I'm going to try to get out. Let's just see here. This one right here, I'll start with this one about arrests being made. Because this one, you just said something about senators being arrested.
Yep.
Now, this is the one I think you're going to get a kick out of, too, because something that was hidden in the White House during Biden's days, God has it in his prophetic word, and it's referencing like skeletons somewhere. So I will get to that one. But this prophetic word is called, your enemy's treasonous acts will be exposed and arrests will be made. Now it says, your foundations that you have built in this nation, in every country, are all based upon lies. Oh, sorry. I'll read the first paragraph. And it says, for I, the Lord, this day am calling out the liars in Washington establishment, the liars in the media, the liars in Wall Street, and the liars in the global government. Your foundation you had built in this nation, in every country, are all based upon lies. Your lies are catching up with you as your foundations are crumbling under your feet when truth will be told that you can't stop. Truth on election fraud when it pours out, and it all will. The truth on 9/11 when it pours out, and it all will. The truth on January 6th when it pours out, and it all will. The truth on Epstein when it pours out, and it all will. The truth on JFK when it all pours out, and it all will. The truth on the attempted assassination against President Trump when it pours out, and it all will. The truth about money laundering schemes, dark financial systems will all be exposed and will cause a major explosion that you will not recover from. Every dark secret the deep state has covered up with the lies and deception is coming out. No matter how much your enemies have tried to cover up and destroy evidence in any way they could, truth still will bring them down and shatter your enemies where they stand. Now here he goes talking about the Biden. The Biden's lies and cover-up is soon about to be break wide open. The truth of his mental decline, the truth of his crimes, the truth regarding Hunter, the truth regarding stolen elections, the truth on every tie he has with China and Ukraine, and the biggest truth of all is who the Biden really is. Some know his true identity, and the truth will not be stopped. Not only did Joe Biden not win the 2020 election, it wasn't even him as a resident in the White House. The people who carried out this deception in any way they covered up the truth will be exposed. Then he goes on and says the major proof of this deception will come out so the world will know the full truth. At lengths the establishment went and the globals would go to steal a country. Every person involved in the Biden cover-up will be exposed and treason will be their end. Many in Washington know or now in times past have committed treason on some level, and every one of them will be judged by me, says the Lord. And then he goes on and says, there is more to come about the Biden administration. There are people now willing to risk their lives to tell the truth on what was going on with the Biden and with Kamala. Many dark secrets hidden in the White House during their residencies will be brought to light. Yes, even a coffin that was in the basement and who was in it. There was people who found this and they kept it quiet until now. No matter where they buried it, where they hid the skeletons, and where the secrets are now will no longer stay secret. And Biden's true medical records are about to be released. So many secrets, so many lies, but the truth destroys them all. So before I go on, I kind of want to get your reaction. This is just part of this prophecy. But when he goes on the truth about the coffin in the basement, I think I've had a prophecy regarding this coffin before. And I remember hearing something about this, but again, when he's bringing this up, that means it's about to be released.
Was there dirt on the coffin?
Hold on. It doesn't specifically say about dirt, but it says it was in the basement.
I heard there was a coffin in the Rose Garden, and they took it out before they did that cleanup. So I don't know if that's connected or not.
I don't know. But there's a coffin there was at one point a coffin in the basement, and somebody knew who it was, and they kept it quiet until now. So we'll see who that is and who was keeping it a secret.
Well, there was more information, too, on Mark Milley, General Milley. Pete Hegseth is talking about demoting him, taking his classified status away. Also, there was reports, and I think Roger Stone tweeted this out as well, that Mark Kelly, the senator, owned a balloon from China. So this is going to get very interesting. Remember the balloons? I don't know if the balloon that went over our country is connected to Mark Kelly, but Mark Kelly has a connection to China and balloons. And what else did you say? The 2020 election. Interesting enough, I was approached this weekend by somebody in Maricopa County that they believe can break this whole thing wide open in Maricopa County, then Arizona, and then all of it. So the 2020 election is going to get looked at very closely.
Do you know how many times that God has talked about Maricopa County? And he says, I think he's at one prophecy, he said something about like they had the key. I don't exactly know what that meant, but I think he said that they had the key or something like that. And he talked about warning the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. He had proof on them, and they were all going to be coming down. And he said that Arizona and was it dominoes were going to fall or something. It was Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, and then I don't remember because these prophecies were quite some time ago. So I gotta kind of remember. But he has talked about Arizona. He has specifically talked about Maricopa County. But again, everything about the 2020 lie, whether it's Joe Biden and who he really is, whether it's how they stole this election, who all was involved in this is like so massively involved in so many different people. Plus, you have the January 6th on top of it. Plus, you have all these impeachments. It is just insanity. How, like, even what God said in this prophecy, what great lengths that our enemies would go to steal a country. And that's what he said. He keeps saying residency with Biden and Kamala. He never says presidencies because they weren't rightfully the president and vice president of this country. But he said he would reveal who he really is. Remember, he's been talking and saying he's the Biden for the last 3 or 4 years. He won't call him Joe. But he did say Joe did not win the election. So at some point in time, there must have been the real Joe Biden that was running for president. I don't know how long it lasted, but I don't know. Ever since the 2020 election happened, he always calls him the Biden.
Yeah, there was more talk over the weekend, too. I don't know if it was President Trump, but people in the know about the auto pen. The auto pen is not over in these documents that he signed. Why would you do an auto pen if you could sign your signature anyway? Especially in really important ones like pardons. So
I know. And wasn't there something that came out that there was 2 auto pens and not just one? Is that typical to have 2 different ones?
No, not that I know of. That's, again, why President Trump, I can't put my notes up because you might see something I'm writing down, but when President Trump does an executive order, he puts it up like that and shows that, hey, I'm signing this. He did that a long time ago from the get-go. So I think he knew since the get-go that this is going to break wide open.
And wasn't there something else about Biden, and there was something that just came out over the weekends. Like I said, I already had these prophecies out about his mental decline. And of course, that's going to break wide open because the news media is also going to be implicated in that because they were hiding all this information, knew that he was not capable of being president, and they hid that, plus everybody in the White House. And who was using that auto pen? Who was given that permission when he was on the beach? Who was making all these decisions? That's another key. And obviously, we're going to find out it was Obama and his shadow government. But who was really in the White House actually running the country? And we're going to find those things out. And again, everything that they've done was treason. Not only was stealing the election, but literally all this fraud. Even if Biden would have been the rightful president at the time, everything they were doing during his presidency was a complete fraud and farce because he wasn't the one making these decisions. He wasn't the one signing these pardons and executive orders. It was somebody else doing it. This is major, major, major issues for the establishment once all this comes out. And it's going to destroy the establishment and the shadow government that's been in D.C.
Yeah, the name I keep hearing is Susan Rice. Keep an eye on that name because she's behind it.
I have a prophecy on Susan Rice as well, and he's mentioned a lot. He mentioned a lot. God has mentioned a lot of people in Obama's administration, and she was one of them. And he called her out, and I think he's called her out a couple different times. I don't have all those prophecies up right now, but he has called them up, and people can look on the website. Susan Rice has definitely been mentioned in prophecy. And if we were live right now, my phone would be blowing up because I'd have my team out there and they'd be sending these things to me so I could read it to you. So that's one, thing that we can't do. We don't have the generals texting in or my team texting to help us out. But either way, the truth is still coming out and it's still fun to hear it.
Yeah, there's more information, too, came out, speaking of Obama, about the chef. Stuff that I didn't know about the chef. The chef was this is the chef that died at his mansion, Obama's mansion. He was the chef in the White House, so he saw a lot of things. He was, I guess, a professional swimmer and a paddleboarder. And where he drowned was only 3 feet of water. And we talked about that a little bit last week, but